angrily and understood that little was known about the elves, but then again, the young master's predictions turned out to be accurate and the elves are incredibly fond of nature. He remembered how he followed the master, trying to grab the sword, when Lloyd said that the elves would not be able to harm the plant. This would be their advantage, because they could not attack innocent elves. He would have to run away from them as quickly as possible, while dodging attacks. At that moment, the main character looked back and said that perhaps for some time they would be able to use their nature against the guys themselves. At this time, the elf again pulled the bowstring and arrow. Xavier furiously looked back from under his brows. He immediately pressed his body against the tree. The elf angrily lowered the bow, realizing that she could not cause harm. This arrow flew past the face of the knight, who managed to return. He deftly dodged the arrows flying past in a fighting pose. The knight immediately leaned over and started running forward from the flying arrows, because he didn't understand why they were shooting him in two directions. Xavier continued to dodge the arrow, looking back. He dodged the arrows in different directions, which stuck into the ground. He bulged his eyes furiously. He continued to run forward when black silhouettes flew behind him, because they did it on purpose. At this time, Lloyd looked out from behind a bush at that very resin tree. The brown-haired man began to get his shovel, wanting to take the sprouts. A bright core of light emitted in matter. The main character began to dig up the ground with his glowing shovel, because the level of resin was increased, and now he would not feel tired for 20 minutes. He began to dig up the ground with quick movements, scattering it around. In an instant, he had already dug up a whole tunnel. At that moment, Xavier continued to run. He looked back angrily and realized that something was wrong here. At that time, the blonde with other archers were flying from the air, and Xavier did not see them, assuming that she could chase the young master. At that moment, the knight managed to run to the river. He immediately jumped into the water, holding back his light blade, and realized that here he would not be able to use plants to block their attacks. At that time, a huge flock of archers were aiming at him from both sides. A whole barrage of arrows flew from the sky at the knight.